Brothers and sisters in the Dharma, may you all be well, happy, and peaceful. We are now going to do a presentation and to give a Dhamma discussion on the topic 16 terrific teachings I've learned. Now, actually, these terrific teachings are life lessons, or you can say Dhamma teachings that can benefit all people. And they are truly very great life lessons that can help a person to live more peacefully, happily, and mindfully. The texts are in English as well as in Chinese. Now, the Chinese was done using Google Translate. So there might be some inaccuracies, and for this, I apologize. But anyway, it will definitely convey some understanding to those who prefer to read in Chinese. Now, I will show the presentation, go over what these 16 terrific teachings, or you can say great Dhamma teachings are. And then we will have a discussion. Now, let us now firstly check the setup. So the setup is okay. Now we can launch the PowerPoint. View show. Now you see the first slide. Now let me take out my photo or image from the video, stop video. Okay. Now you can see that this is a very nice image of a person contemplating or reflecting or thinking about important life lessons. Actually, in Dharma practice, it is very important to do this contemplation, to ponder over the important Dharma teachings, and then to practice, and you will gradually realize very important Dhamma teachings that will help your mind to grow in compassion, in wisdom, and in peace. So that is this cover slide. Now let us move on to the next one. This is number 2. This is also actually just a cover slide. You find all the images show a person who is pondering, who is reflecting, who is thinking about important teachings, important things that he might have learned through listening to good talks or through reading good Dhamma books. So that is this cover slide also, you can say. Terrific, very great teachings. Now, the first one, I've learned that one shouldn't compare himself to others. It can give stress. It's wise to just do one's best. Now, you know, one of the things that can give rise to stress, to feelings of mental disease is comparison and measurement. Many like to compare with other people. They are jealous or envy of them, and then they feel sort of jealous. And then, you know, this will cause suffering and dukkha, isn't it? And then also some measure their achievements, and then again compare and say that, oh, I must have this, I must do this, I must attain this, I must reach this level. Now, of course, you see, we are talking about the negative aspects. If you learn from great people, right, that is not giving a stress, then that is good. That means you get inspiration. But in this case, we are talking about people who actually maybe are very, very goal-orientated. They want to be number one. They want to be perfect. They want to get the best. This gives the stress. And the important thing, in every slide you find, there is my writing here about an important point, a reflection. Mental happiness surpasses any worldly material success. Now, many people consider worldly mundane achievements to be the greatest thing. They think that if you are successful in getting a lot of money or in getting a lot of worldly possessions, then you will be very happy. So they think that success comes first, then only you can get happiness. As Ajahn Brahm has said, it's happiness first. Once you are happy, then everything goes into place. You are happy, there is a positive state of mind, you can work better, you can solve problems better, you are more peaceful in the mind, isn't it? That is more important than just chasing after worldly things and then you get a certain amount of money. After some time, you again feel dissatisfied and you go on and on. So definitely, mental happiness is much more important than worldly material success. Now, you know very well some of the very so-called successful people in the singing field, which means the pop singers, K-pop, all right? Or also in the movie world, where very famous people who have so-called great material success, money, fame, power, lots of people whom they want, like, from male pop singers or actors, they can get all the most beautiful ladies also. But yet, so many you have heard commit suicide. Like the K-pop singers, you see so many young people only. So they are not happy, isn't it? So that is this important point you have to reflect and note carefully. Now, this is also a very important teaching. I've learned that it's not what happens to people that's important. It's what they do about it. You must acknowledge the fact that as long as you are in samsara, that is the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, there will be dukkha. There will be suffering, sorrow, grief, pain, isn't it? So what is important is how you can handle this, what you can do about it. If you can, put in certain efforts to change the situation, then well and good. If there's nothing you can do, certain things are inevitable. Like, for example, the strong forces of nature, great flood, or maybe a very terrible hurricane or things like that. So you learn to accept it and make the mind still peaceful. Because there's nothing you can do, it's a force of nature. If you can do, then why worry about it? So don't complain and say, why is this happening to me? Why am I so unlucky and so on? What do you do about it? Can you take steps to improve the situation? That is this important point. So here there is this statement I have written. With Dharma wisdom, we can respond to any matter much better. It's very true. Because when we learn Dharma, practice it, and realize the truth of it, then you can handle all the things that happen, especially the negative ones, the misfortunes that you encounter. Such things, you can embrace them better and more peaceful. That's why it's so important to be able to embrace peacefully through learning the Dharma and getting the wisdom. But sad to say, today, not many people have that. That's why you see many people, especially the younger generation now, suffer from mental illnesses like depression, anxiety-related illnesses. You must have heard of very tragic cases. Like some years ago, there was this young doctor, right, working, so-called successful. But one day, his girlfriend decided to dump him, to leave him already. Perhaps the girlfriend wanted another man already. So he couldn't accept this happening. He didn't have the Dharma. So you know what happened? He committed suicide. I think he jumped down from a high-rise building. An educated doctor. So you see how important it is of being able to understand, accept the thing peacefully, and then to move on, because nothing lasts. Everything will come to pass. It will change, isn't it? So you see, a young life is lost. And today you see many, or you hear of many cases of suicide. And of course, in these pandemic times, many people are having lots of problems and suffering. So if you have the Dhamma, you can cope better. So important for us to learn the Dhamma and practice it. Now let us go on to the next slide. That's slide number 5. I've learned that Dhamma learning helps one to think more clearly and wisely. It's connected with what I've just said just now. That if we have the Dhamma, we learn the teachings of the Buddha, then you find the mind develops. The mind becomes more wise. The mind can become more steady and calm, especially in the face of adversities. In the face of negative things happening, you won't get into, say, a terrible panic state. You won't be confused, agitated, or stressed up until you do something very, very terrible like committing a suicide. You must have heard of many cases that long time ago, there was this chief judge, a brilliant judge, in the legal world. Now he had a wife, and of course he loved the wife a lot, right? As husbands would love their wives, and wives would love their husbands. But one day, when the wife was not that old yet, the wife passed away. I can't remember, was it due to a sickness or probably. So, he was very, very sorrowful. The suffering was so intense, so great, And the mind was very depressed. He would take out the letters every day that he wrote last time when they were young, and then would read them, and then would visit the graveyard often. So the depression and the sadness went on, and at the end of 3 years, he could not bear with this anymore. There was no clarity of the mind, there was no wisdom, there was no calmness, all the positive qualities of the mind, none, except that he was very, very brilliant academically, intellectually. So in the end, he put a gun at his temple, that means the forehead area there, and killed himself with the gun, committed suicide. Isn't it terrible? So you see, if a person has the Dhamma, he is able to cope better. Now, I've reflected on this to have the right view and right thought. Now, right view, of course, in the Dhamma teachings, the most important ones to understand the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering in life itself, there will be suffering. And then there is the cause, to understand the cause and to understand that the suffering can stop actually. And then the fourth one, to know and to practice the path that will lead to the end of all suffering. And that is the Noble Eightfold Path, isn't it? So when you have the right view, the mind is clear now, wisdom arising, and you enter into the noble hood. That means the path of the holy ones already. And then this will lead on to right thought. Right thought means the thought of not attaching and not clinging on to all the world sensual things. And then the thought of metta or loving kindness, and the thought of non-cruelty. Now, all these good states of the mind with your right view, understanding, or attitude, then you find you have great wisdom and also the other fantastic good qualities like compassion, and you will not do the evil actions of the body, of the speech. Of course, the thought is good already, right? So you will not do the bad, unwholesome actions. And of course, this will bring in a lot of peace of the mind, and they will lead to good rebirths. So this is also a very important thing you have to note. Now let us move on to slide number 6. This says, I've learned that a positive mind will keep one going in the midst of obstacles and challenges. Now I think you have heard a lot in motivation books and talks about the importance of having a positive mind. Not to have negative thinking about things, about issues, about what is happening to you. The mind has to be kept positive, like, well, I can accept this thing and I will try to improve. I definitely can succeed. Whatever negative thing that happens, it is impermanent. It won't last. So you have that sort of a mind, which actually is a Dharma-based mind. So a lot of good things that happen to you, isn't it? Your mind will be better. You can face with all the problems, the conflicts, the trouble of life, which definitely will happen to everybody. So you can cope much better. So you see, when the mind is developed, it will become more calm. You can go into a calm state when you have problems or where there is trouble, agitations in the world, stressful situations. And when you have that calm state, then the mind still maintains that clarity, can still be very clear. And there is insight into the true nature of things to a certain degree. You have wisdom. So this way, definitely you can meet with the challenges of life. So you find there will be lots of problems or challenges throughout our lives, isn't it? Right? The challenges or the problems or the stress of a student, right? And also the person who is working in whatever professions, a doctor, lawyer, or even a teacher, or any worker. And then the stress of earning a living, the stress in the family, your relationship with people, all sorts of things. But if the mind is developed through Dharma learning and practice, then of course it makes a difference. You can still maintain that positive state of mind. So that is a very, very important thing to reflect upon and actualize it. Now let us go on to slide number 7. Now, I've learned that we are responsible for our thoughts, speech, and actions. Hence, we must always be mindful. Now, some people like to blame, other people, to blame the environment. Why is this happening to me? This fella lah, always irritating me. And then, this happening. So I'm so unfortunate. That's why it's causing me this. And then my parents lah, my home lah. You see, how come other people are so rich are always having the 4 C's, always complaining, always criticizing, always cursing and condemning. The 4 C's, refuse to take responsibility for the happenings. Actually, all these have causes, and many things may have a karmic link. That if not only in this life, in your previous lives, you have wrong views, wrong thoughts, and you have wrong speech, like lying, for example, or using harsh speech or slander, and you have wrong bodily actions. You have killed previous life, and maybe this life also you have tortured other beings, previous life also, and then now also maybe you have been cruel to people, and you have also cheated, stolen, right? Deceiving people. All these things previous lives also, and maybe earlier part of your life. So this will bring about what we call a karmic effect, a consequence. So when we reflect on this, then we won't blame other people, isn't it? And we must always in this life be mindful of what is happening in our mind, of the things that we speak, and also of the things that we do using the bodily actions. I've given a discussion, a presentation on the 10 unwholesome things that you must not do. We must not do. I think the talk was given, the presentation was given in Hokkien, but you have the English text, right? So you can go over in the PowerPoint also. So very important to know this, that intentional actions, that means actions that you do with intention, not just accidental, you really have the intention, it's bad, and yet you go and do it, either using the body, speech, and mind. Then you find you have what we call the karma vipaka, the karmic consequence. It's just like you reap what you sow. Even in Christianity, you have that, isn't it? Do good, and then good comes upon you. Good begets good, bad begets bad. So when we know this, then we will refrain. We will keep away from doing all the bad things. So this is also very important. Now let us go on to the next slide. This is now number 8 already. I've learned that spiritual friendship helps one to grow in his mind development as he walks the Noble Eightfold Path. Now that's very important. In the scriptures, it's recorded once Venerable Ananda, Buddha's disciple, asked the Buddha, he said, "Oh Lord, is it 50% of our cultivation of walking the Noble Path? 50% depends on a good spiritual friend, or what in Pali we call the Kalyana Mitta." The Buddha said, "Ananda, do not say it is 50%. It is the whole of the spiritual life. You say 100%. Now, what this means is, because most of us, or nearly all of us, we are not arahants yet. We have not become enlightened. So there's still weakness there. So we need a good guide, a good friend, a good companion to guide us as we go along cultivating in the Noble Eightfold Path. And of course, the greatest friend, the greatest guide is the Buddha himself. You think on your own, if you don't, get guidance from the Buddha's teachings or from very good spiritual friends, you will fall. You will not be successful. So this is a very important thing also. Success in walking the path. What is the objective of the path? The Noble Eightfold Path, of course, is to end suffering. So this Kalyana Mitta, the spiritual friend, plays a most important role. So it's quite important that you do not associate with the fools. You have to associate with the wise ones. If you associate with the fools are the people who do not follow the right path. They don't know what is right or wrong. They are not keen on the Dharma, and they do the unwholesome actions. Don't associate with these people because you can fall. Don't think that, I can turn them into a saint. We ourselves are still struggling, isn't it? Of course, we can share But don't get close and become close friends, and then the end get influenced, and there will be a downfall for you. Now let's go on to number 9. Now, I've learned that success requires a right attitude based on good values and virtues. And that is very, very important. Many motivational speakers have spoken about the importance of attitude. It is attitude to a large degree that determines your success, whether you can achieve the goal or not. Some people may think that, well, it is the intelligence. If I have a very high IQ, then I can be successful. It's not true. Even Albert Einstein and famous people also said about the importance of, like, for example, hard work, having the right attitude towards work, towards learning. So if you have the wrong attitude, then you won't have the determination or the perseverance or the industry to put on the good work. And of course, the right attitude is connected with a set of values, or you can say good qualities of the person, good character. And these good qualities, basically you can say a system of good morality. And in Buddhism, you see, morality, that is sila, is one of the very important pillars. You have morality, then you have concentration, development of the mind, and you have wisdom. These are the 3 important pillars. What we call sila, samadhi, panya. Morality, and then that developed mind with concentration and mindfulness, and then you have the wisdom. And you are on the path to enlightenment, to the true success of life. So just now we already mentioned about having the right view of things, and practicing morality, very important if you want to attain the goal of ending dukkha. Now let's say even ordinary life, we want to lessen our suffering or our grief, sorrow. So you have many important things to practice. One of it is morality, and even more important skill also is to develop the mind so that it has the right view, to understand the true nature of things, to see things as they clearly are, right? Now let us go on to slide number 10. I've learned that when we help and care, we should not expect anything in return. This is true spirituality. Let us say you do dana, or you serve people, voluntary, you help people, or you give in terms of charity, that is dana. When you do this, you must have the right intention. Do not do it because you expect something. I give him, next time he will give me back. Or, I help this person, next time he will help me back. You have that type of intention. So you say, if I do this dana charity, then I will get something. All these are not good intentions. You just do it because it is a good spiritual practice. You don't expect anything. The things will happen naturally. This is true spirituality. You help not because you want your name to be put on the building because you've donated to the building. So you want your name to be inscribed, or you want to let everybody know. No, that is not true charity. So practicing dana, of course, is very important because it will help us to cut our selfishness, our ego. Then the mind becomes more joyful, peaceful. If we do the dana, one of the essential things, because it is this ego and self and ignorance of things that is a root cause of suffering. It's connected with craving, wanting this, tangha, or that, you see. So the important thing about helping and caring or serving is this, right? You do not expect, you just do out of compassion and love. But the person who receives that help, who receives that care, right, the recipient should actually practice gratitude. So if he is not practicing gratitude, that is his karma, isn't it? His not so good karma. So it's not yours. You have done a very good thing and you just let it go already. Then the mind will be more peaceful. You're always expecting and then you cannot be peaceful. How come I helped him before? This till now he doesn't help me. Or he doesn't give me some so ungrateful. I know I have experienced this sort of things also. Among students, they say they apply for scholarships or loans. When I was teaching, then I would stand as guarantor. That means they have to pay back, later on. But some chabut, they don't pay. Right? So you help them, but they don't respond with gratitude. Instead, they stab you in the back in the sense that they don't pay back. Then I will get the letters from the lawyers and so on. So all these cases we know, not many maybe, right? But now more and more people are not really practicing gratitude, and then many people give maybe with the wrong intention. Now let us go on to this. I've learned that no matter how good a friend someone is, they can make mistakes at times. I must not hold this against him. I must learn to forgive and let go. And that is very important. Nobody is perfect. In a so-called good person, there will be some bad or weaknesses. In a so-called bad person, there will be some good. So when you realize this, and you should focus on the good things of a person rather than always dwelling on his weaknesses. You like to blame other people. We point at the other person like you are like this. One finger pointing out, three other fingers pointing at oneself, not realizing that we too have the weaknesses. We too have made mistakes. So when you know this, then you will not bear that hate, that anger or the grudge, the feelings of revenge and all these things, enmity, ill will, all this will drop already. You will learn to forgive and let go. That's why, in the English proverb, so important, to err, to make mistake is human, to forgive is divine. To forgive is divine, is like a God. So remember, the practice of forgiveness is a very important practice. So this is an important terrific teaching that will give you a lot of peace and happiness. If you don't have this, you keep in your mind the ill will, the grudge, the hate towards another person. Is in the scriptures, so you have stories of, this can go on to previous, next lives, future lives, where you again will meet with these people whom you hate, and you will do certain bad things. So forgiveness is very important. I've learned that it's very important to train my mind to be alert, attentive, heedful, and mindful. That is bhavana. Bhavana in the practice of Dharma means mind development or cultivation of the mind, purification of the mind. Now, mind is filled with all sorts of the rubbish. We can say actually defilements. Actually, the word is defilements. The negative things that causes so much of pain, sorrow, and suffering. And the three big devils, not really devils, I would say, the devils inside the mind, greed, anger, and delusion. Greed, unwholesome desires, covetousness, anger, enmity, hatred, ill will, and then this wrong view of things, a delusion, an ignorance, and then also this strong ego and conceit inside. These are the devils inside our mind. So as long as we don't train these to get rid of this or to lessen these devils, these defilements at least, then you will not be peaceful and happy. So if you have practices, the Dhamma practice, basically the most important is to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. So the mind is always very sharp and alert. It is attentive. It is very cautious, right? And it is mindful. With the mindfulness and the attentiveness, all this wisdom can arise. You're mindful when you are doing the things. You're mindful in listening to Dhamma talks. And then you are heedful, very cautious, won't do silly things. Wisdom will be rising, right? So this is just not what we say, mental development of bhavana. And it is an essential thing if we want to get rid of all the suffering and become enlightened, to become a Buddha, right? Or to become an Arahant. So that is this very important point. Now let us look at the next one. I've learned that whenever I do an unskillful deed, I have to acknowledge it or apologize, learn from it, resolve not to repeat the mistake, and then to move forward positively. And that is the way a person should practice, or his conduct should be along this line. Everybody makes mistakes. Now, what should we do? That we maybe have done something wrong. Unskillful means wrongful action, unwholesome action, either of the speech or the mind, the thoughts, or the bodily action. The correct attitude is to know it. Don't be like a blah blah person. You still don't know it, not aware, and keep on doing those mistakes, So accumulating more and more bad karma, you will say lah. So you acknowledge it, say, yeah, I was ignorant and foolish, so I spoke these words which should not be spoken, or I did this action which is not good, taking something from the office without permission, and then you resolve. You acknowledge, you know it already. You say, oh, I will not repeat this mistake, this wrong action, unskillful action. And then you move forward in your life already. Don't have the feelings of greed, remorse, or regret, because this will weaken the mind. So that is the correct attitude. And then very important, you keep on doing more and more good. Of course, everybody also does some good. So you do more and more good. It's just like the good karma now will just cover, override all the bad karma. That is the attitude. Feeling guilty, remorse, all this will weaken the mind and make you suffer to the extent that sometimes at night you cannot sleep. So take care of the mind this way. I'm not saying that it's okay to go and do. Sometimes you make mistakes, but learn from the mistakes. Do more good still, and then move on in your life. That is the way we should live our life. I've learned that my destiny lies in my hands. What I do now in the prevailing circumstances will shape my future. Now, some people say, this is my life. They say, why, Sam? Yeah, it's fated already. There's no such thing. Right? The teachings of the Buddha is not fatalistic. Oh, that is your fate. You have to have that misfortune. Right? You will be unlucky because you are fated. No. And you cannot say everything also due to karma. You have other laws. You are not mindful, right? You cross the road without looking. You may be knocked down by a car. You are not careful of your health. You go to visit prostitutes so often, and then without taking precautions. That is also an unskillful action. Then you contract HIV, and then you say that is my fate, or that is my karma. It's not. It's actually our doing, present life. So your future actually is dependent, apart from what comes from the past, very important what you do now. So your life is in your hands. There's one song, a Buddhist hymn. So what you do now at the present time will determine what is going to happen, right? Not praying and praying to say that, oh, I will have a good future, and so, but you are doing all the wrong things and you are doing the bad things. So no matter how much you pray, you will not be able to get the good fruits, isn't it? So that is very important. A life is not fated. The future is in your hands. And the important principle is just this: good begets good, bad begets bad. What goes around comes around, right? You reap what you sow. So you bear in mind this, then you know, right? I am responsible. I will chart my future. So I will always do the wholesome things and avoid the unwholesome things. And also remember, not all things also due to karma. Some are due to natural laws like, physics and chemistry, right? The seasons, the change of seasons, and now you have climatic changes, and then also the laws of the mind. So this is also very important. I posted some stories of this teaching, the lives in your hand. I've learned that it takes years to build up trust and only seconds to destroy it. Now, of course, you see, you develop all those good qualities of the character, and of course, you make good friends and people, come to appreciate you. They really like you. You have good relationships with all people because you have good moral conduct. Your character is good. You don't do unwholesome actions of the speech or the body, and you don't harbor all those evil thoughts and so on, isn't it? So relationship improve. But if you are not careful, you can, what we say, go from light to darkness. Light to darkness. I've also done posting along this line. Light to darkness. That means, okay, you have a very, very good qualities and you have good compassion, wisdom, but you're not careful, Mara is there. Mara is not the Satan, it's just the defilements, the evil force inside our minds. So this come to tempt you, especially when you mix with the wrong company for young people. And then you do one wrong thing, wow, you can spoil your whole character. People don't trust you already, and then friends will leave you and so on. Right? Not many people will forgive one, It's a good thing to forgive because everybody makes mistakes. But that is the reality of the world. That you just do a bad thing, all the good deeds also, people forget already, So that means we must always be mindful of all that we do and all words that we use, because one unwholesome thing can tarnish your character already. And then it'd be so sad. What a waste, isn't it? Right? But of course, if that thing happens, well, again, you say, oh, I made a mistake, so I resolve not to do and keep on doing the good again. Things are not permanent, right? Seconds to destroy doesn't mean permanent, means gone already. No such thing as no more hope. We start again. Then you find things will change for the better again because you keep on doing the good again. So this is an important teaching. I've learned that it's wise not to let others control the state of my mental peace. I can choose not to react negatively. Now, we find this is a very important practice. Many people have a lot of suffering because they react. Somebody, say something not so good about him. Wow, he gets angry already. And then he will shout back and then he will even maybe give him a slap or things like that, reacting. Whereas, if your Dharma practice is good, then you will not let what people say, what people comment to affect your mental peace, isn't it? You listen, yes. If what the fellow says is true about you, then you take steps to improve. If it is not true, then why should you get angry? You get angry, you get the bad karma also. Right? You can still have the mental peace. You maybe, you can even have the wisdom say he is probably having some problems, out of control. He's not developed. And the karma is his. So why should I let him control my mental happiness and peace? So I choose not to react negatively. Sometimes you go in situations you can become very angry, you cannot tahan already. You keep quiet and walk away first. That is a wise action. So you see that it boils down to good Dharma practice. When you have good Dharma practice, the mind develops and the state of the mind is so strong. It can be calm, it can be peaceful, right? And it has a very clear state, clarity of mind, wisdom coming out, he will know what to do because of good Dharma practice. So then he will be more open, be peaceful in the mind, not reacting. A lot of problems come, through the reacting negatively, there will be problems. But how you handle, we come to this again. Now let us go on to number 16 now. Slide number 16. Oh yeah, how come it's not 16 or 17? Well, after we have to look again at number 16, isn't it? Oh, number 16, which is now done, you see. So I've learned that I should not weaken my mind through fear and superstitious beliefs. All right. Now, you find a lot of people, because of ignorance and not understanding the true nature of things, not understanding the laws of nature, so they become very frightened of many things. Imagine just like cavemen, when there is lightning, wow, so scared already, right? And some are very, very superstitious. They have not learned. And today you can see how many superstitious things people do and cause suffering not only to themselves, but also to others. They go and hear certain talks and say, oh, if you want to be successful, you must do this, you must do that. Some even I've seen video clips, don't know what sort of cult groups, they take the whip and whip themselves or cause themselves pain. And then also do silly things, burn jaw sticks, maybe as tall as a person that goes on for days and polluting our environment, and then let people, including you yourself, reading all those terrible things, carcinogenic, cancer causing, and so on, because of fear and superstition. So it's so important to learn the Dhamma, to know what is good, what is wise to do, and what is unwise, things that we should avoid. So actually it's through the Dhamma learning, understanding, to ponder or reflect on it, practicing it. And this is not just once, it goes on from life to life, Then you find your mind becomes strong. Your mind becomes wiser. All the wrong beliefs and superstitious beliefs that can be very harmful, Today you still have things going on like this, slaughter, the terrible, slaughter the poor animals, cows or goats or whatever pigs slaughter them and offer to the gods. Why? Because they say, oh, if I do that, then I will get certain rewards, be successful. The poor sentient beings or animals suffer because of your superstitious belief, and some due to fear. If I don't do this, the gods may punish me. If the fellow is a god that you pray to, he doesn't need really to eat all your pigs or your cows or the meat from your pig, isn't it? And he would not want all these things that you are doing that cause harm to other beings. So very important. It's not easy to change. Especially today, you still have so many superstitious practices. So in my postings and the talks and so on. So I trust you address this issue. My own mother also. Last time she was also like that, typical practicing some superstitious beliefs out of fear and ignorance. But then gradually I introduced the Dhamma to her. Then in the end, she gave up all these things. And then what did she do? She just took refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. She would read the Dhamma books, listen, she understands English, and she would listen to the Dhamma talks, and then she would do dana, she would do chanting, and then meditation. Very clean and neat, and it is wise, isn't it? And the mind becomes more peaceful. So remember this, a very important point that many people fail to realize, And this happens in all organized religions. You find that happening all. When they have a problem, they will run to one temple, to another temple, to this cult leader, that cult leader, ask for fish paper, it's supposed to be a holy paper, you put in the pocket and then the thing goes. I'm not trying to be very critical or condemn people. We understand them with compassion. But what I'm contending is we have to introduce the Dharma education so they can get rid of this, right? Slowly, right? Gradually. We have compassion. We don't go and quarrel or curse and all this thing. We explain, just like my mother, I let her do. But slowly I introduce, and she herself will realize this thing. And then you hear of so many cases that get caught, cheating in the temples and so-called holy places. Why? Because they don't learn the proper things, having the right view, and be very careful, be mindful. Until today, you hear of people getting caught. That is also wrong beliefs, and then also the defilements of greed and so on. So just will lose maybe 30, 40, 50,000 to all those people in the Macau scam and so on. So finally, it boils down to this. Learn, understand, reflect on the Dhamma and practice it constantly. You are on the right track already. I like this very cute little image of the little monk meditating. Some young people have more wisdom than many old ones also, isn't it? So never underestimate the young ones. Now we come to this. You say, now, I have learned that it is foolish to cling on to worldly things which arise and pass away. Oh, that is fantastic wisdom. This is the truth of impermanence. You have the three signs or the three characteristics of life. Dukkha, anicca, anatta. It means dukkha means suffering, sorrow, unsatisfactoriness, conflicts, problems, stress, all this connoted by the word dukkha, right? So we have to acknowledge or realize that there is this thing. And also there is the cause, right? So, and the second characteristic is impermanence. Everything is impermanent and will change. Of course, nibbana is different. Nibbana is not impermanent. It is permanent. It's there, eternal. That's about the only permanent thing. Right? And other things will change. You get a prize, or maybe you strike the lottery, very, very happy. It's okay, you're very happy. Or wow, you get a fantastic lavish dinner and you enjoy the food. But remember that it's not permanent. After that, it will pass. Right? So if things are like that, they will pass. Then it's very important that you don't attach and crave for it. There's some people, of course, there's nothing wrong to enjoy some things of the world as a layperson, right? Like some, for example, they enjoy watching some Korean series and so on. It's okay. But the danger is you are clinging and attaching. Like I know of friends, when they go traveling, they are so afraid that they will miss that program. So they ask a member of the family, make sure you record this for me. If you don't record this, I will really give it to you. Maybe tells the son or the husband or whatever. And if it's not done, the person will get agitated already. That is attaching already. If you have it, okay. If you cannot have it, it's also okay. And some people cling on. They become addicted also, some actually. Like liquor is one example. Right? If they don't have it, they will be very, very angry. Some are really attached to durians. I have friends tell me, if there is this durian season, if I don't eat, cannot one, I must eat one. Right? So if they don't have it, you find the mind state is not peaceful, not at ease. That is clinging. And the worst thing is clinging and attaching. Then they overstep the boundary already. Wow, some will wall up a lot, eat a lot of the durian until, you know what happens. The sickness comes. The stomach cannot take it. Must have compassion for the body. So craving for and attaching to all conditioned things. Things happen according to causes and conditions. In samsara, that is the way things are. That the suffering world. So if you crave, you have unwholesome desire for this, always wanting it, and then you get it, you attach to it already, just like a small child or at first doesn't know the good taste of ice cream. But after taking the ice cream, likes it so much already, wow, then he becomes attached to it. He craves for it. So if he sees the ice cream and the mommy doesn't buy the ice cream for him, he will go into a tantrum and he will shout. I've seen children like that. This is attaching already. So you have to be very careful, this important thing. And just now I told you the three signs already. One is dukkha, the other which is suffering. The second one, anicca, which is impermanence. And the third one is a more difficult thing to understand as anatta, non-self. Some attach so much to the body, Wow, I've heard of some ladies, wow, they spend hundreds of dollars every month, right, for new dress, and then also to go to the hair salon, all right, to do something to the hair. After stepping out of the hair salon, you can see a beehive already, or you can see a multi-color thing where the hair is of a different color already. So it's attaching to the body, the lampau already. It's not that you don't take care of the body, but it's the lampau already. You spend so much of the money on those things that will change. They are impermanent. And when you reflect, there are so many people suffering in hunger, so difficult to survive. And you now, we find, spend so much money on the body. When the body is impermanent, it's going to grow old, become sick, decay, and then die. And then after dying, you still have the decay. So when you reflect on this, then you have a balance. You will take care of the body, yes, but then you know that there's a limit. And then the very important thing they don't take care of, like for example, how many meditation shops or meditation center you have in town, but you have a lots of restaurants, massage parlors, karaoke, isn't it? So you see, the world is a very, very strange thing. Something that is very, very important, like the mind, we don't pay much attention. So we need to have this balance. So that is this slide number 18. Now I think we come to the last slide already. And the last slide, that's 19. Now, of course, I have gone over so many of the important Dharma lessons, and you want to call it life lessons or, terrific teachings. All these are terms only, but they are lessons that will help us to grow in our mind, to be more peaceful and happy, not only in this life, but in future lives to come. All religions believe and teach that that is not the end of things, isn't it? There will be still afterlife and afterlife. Or different people may have different beliefs. One religion may say, oh, after you die, you either go to heaven or hell. Right? Some will say that, well, there will be afterlife, maybe you'll be a spirit. But Buddhists, very, very clear. There will be a series of rebirths until you get enlightened and get out of this samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, where you finally become enlightened and attain nibbana. Until then, there will be this rebirth going on. So therefore, when you know this already, what sort of future lives you're going to have, then you know it's so important that we must be able to live righteously and meaningfully. To live righteously, meaningfully, wisely, then you are on the right path. You are leading a very, very meaningful, wise life. Some time ago I read this article. It's very good. It's written by Ajahn Brahm. Living virtuously or meaningfully, living meaningfully, dying joyfully. You live a life that is meaningful. A life that is meaningful also must be a life that is righteous and doing the right things. Then when the time comes, you can transit and die peacefully, joyfully also. And some of the cultivated monks die with a smile because they know they are going to a better place, better rebirth, maybe in the heavens as God, isn't it? So in other words, when you examine this, you know it's so important to live wisely, righteously, right? Then only you will die peacefully and have a good rebirth. So actually, in the Dharma teaching, very important is to develop the compassion and the wisdom, right? Without compassion and wisdom, then you will be doing a lot of unskillful, unwholesome actions, wrong thoughts. Actions can be through three doors of what you think. And that is very important because all things start from the mind. So you have the wrong thoughts, wrong intentions, unwholesome thinking, then this can lead on and connect with what you speak. Imagine you have a very angry state of the mind. Then what happens? You can shout, you can use harsh speech, you can curse a person, isn't it? So wrong speech. And then because of the wrong thoughts, then you can do some of the terrible wrongful actions, like hurting a person, torturing a person, killing a person, or stealing, robbing, committing sexual misconduct. So all the bodily actions can come because you have the wrong thoughts. And then getting addicted to smoking or drinking or drugs even. So you make this aspiration, right? May I practice the Dharma well. I will live righteously and wisely, and may my compassion and wisdom grow in me. That is the praying you should do. Many people don't know. They think that praying means, oh, I pray to the Buddha. Actually, it's an image of the statue only. The Buddha is not there, or the Kuan Yin is not there. And they pray, so, oh, may I strike the lottery. May I have a beautiful girlfriend or handsome boyfriend. And may I have a child, So all this is not in the Dhamma teachings. You just do the good and the good will come to you. So now we have spoken I have spoken more than an hour in this presentation, which is a very important Dharma presentation. So I would like to thank all brothers and sisters in the Dharma and all young and old youth members or aunties, uncles who have taken the trouble to follow this presentation. I will say sadhu, and then thank you all of you. And listening to the Dhamma is a very meritorious action if you listen with mindfulness and concentration. So I say sadhu and thank you to all of you, and let us conclude this presentation by saying sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May you all be well, happy, and peaceful. Take care.